Okay, this is unit 8B. This would be the older of the two units. First thing we want to look at is here in the control panel. I don't know if you can see it or not, but at the top up there, the control wall has broke loose and it's bowed out about 2 inches. This would be the supply end. This would be the back side of the control panel. As you can see, it's bowed in. It looks about like 2 or 3 inches at the top. Screws have come out all along up in there. There's the heat exchangers. I'm going to try to walk across this catwalk thing here. Down there at the bottom you'll see some, that'd be stuff we took for sample number 3. Those are all the heat exchangers. Okay, right here we have the gas valve section, or the burner end. We've got burner number 1. We know we've got a bad gas valve. They all need ignition wires. We don't really have the vacuum that we have. We never physically found a hole in a heat exchanger, but we don't have the proper airflow either. Pretty sure the heat exchanger on number 2 is bad. It's going to have a new inducer motor assembly. Number 3, it's also going to need an induced draft motor. Heat exchanger's bad. Number 5, gas valve's bad. Heat exchanger's not pulling with the proper vacuum. It's got to have some kind of seal or crack in it. Number 6, gas valve, heat exchanger, inducer draft motor. Number 7, heat exchanger, pressure switches are not operating properly. Number 9, we know it's got a bad induced draft motor, so we couldn't really test it because we didn't have a good motor on it to pull a vacuum on it. We were assuming that with the corrosion and stuff, it's probably not in good shape either. Number 10 needs new ignition module. It's not operating properly, and it's kind of weak on pressure also. Number 11, heat exchanger. We need to replace all the igniters, flame sensors, modules. My recommendation is just replace all the heat exchangers. If we're going to spend the time to tear it apart, we probably just go ahead and change them. This door here would be on the inlet side of the heat exchangers. For his blower inspections, the upper motor seemed to check out all right, no issues. This bottom blower right here, got a bad bearing. That blower motor is going to need to be replaced. Alright, this is the inlet side of the heat exchanger and the blower section. This would be the outlet side of the chilled water coils, or the inlet, also the inlet to the blowers right there. If you look up there in the top corner, you'll see where somebody's jumpered out the freestat, which if we're going to 100% outside air, that freestat will have to be moved over up to the supply air in order to make sure we don't put any cold air, dump cold air down into the space. Alright, this here would be the filter section and the dampers area. You can tell the damper gears are wore pretty good. The holes in the where the damper gears go through are wallered, so I don't think we can put any kind of bushing or anything in there. Some of the dampers are missing some of their seals. I'd recommend just putting a whole new damper section in. I believe we can move it in by taking out this panel and sliding a new one right in there. We'll need to make sure they got Belimo motors on both ends. It's a two section damper. I don't know if it'll come in as one piece or if it'll come in two, but you got another damper motor on the other end of this to operate the other half. We're now on the other side of the damper. This will be the return air down in from the workspace. Smoke detector there. Relief dampers work. Back down here in the heat exchanger section, or the gas valve section. Sample number 1 come from right down there in the bottom there, where you see that white stuff down there on the bottom. Right down in there. That's where sample number 1 come from. Sample number 2 come from in here in the damper section, that black stuff, which we decided to take a sample of that because maybe something that's getting through the filter into that area and then chemically changing or something when it gets around the heat exchangers. We're going around the unit here. All relief dampers are working. This would be the other end of your heat exchanger where your induced draft motors are. You can see down at the bottom there where that's all rusted. Probably need to replace that with some stainless or something. That's probably going to continue to be somewhat wet down there, so we put some kind of stainless or something down there to roll the water out on the roof instead of in the unit. As you can see, I'll get closer there. There seems to be quite a bit of debris and dirt on the outlet side of these burners. You look up there, you can see something's broke loose inside. Looks like possibly a piece of caulk or something that's come through the burner section. They've had issues with pressure switches, and they've been changed since as the factory. These have been turned up to keep water from running into them. Looking at everything over, and my advice is just to replace all the heat exchangers. I'm not so sure that I wouldn't replace 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 the induced draft motors. If you look, these would be the newer model induced draft motors, the smaller ones, I believe. Yeah, and then these bigger ones are the older models. So you've 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of the 12 here has already been replaced. Probably be a good idea to go ahead and change them. I'd probably go ahead and replace those high limits. Means we're going to have everything apart. All the pressure switches, high limits, probably the rest of those blower assemblies. Get those taken care of while we've got it apart. Alright, this was unit 8B. Here is the nameplate on 8B. The serial number's up there. It's at 2004-06-BLGS00222.